I want to go with the book first, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because that actually should have been the first thing that we saw.
All right. Excellent.
Hmm. Perfect, perfect. So I have like literally a few seconds just before we go live.
Okay.
How you feel today, Bubba Day?
I'll be all right. Not bad for an old soul. Making it, making it happen.
Awesome. Well, Abora Aboye Aboshishe.
Agoato. Iyan.
Peace and blessings to you, also to those who are going to join us today. I
Mhm.
am Ifa Kolade Umilade Fatosin, priestess, author, storyteller, host of Sacred Waters Healing Temple, the podcast here. And I am bringing you another episode, another fabulous episode with Oloye Kerede. We just made it through our previous book. Our previous book was The Place of Nights, and now we're on to a second book. One thing I want to do just before I get started, just try to like calm myself, calm, cool down, is just give thanks to all of the teachers who have contributed to my path thus far. I really do want to, and in names of like Baba Ontosine and with Ifa Mystic Temple, also one of the descendants of Caribbean Nation, as well as his teacher, Kolioso, and also you as well. And I really do appreciate, you know, you all in so many different ways facilitating what has come this far, being like the spine of everything. So I just want to give thanks to starting out with that. Baba Karaday is a esteemed elder, scholar, and author of the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts. His work has shaped generations of practitioners, researchers, and seekers who desire an authentic and grounded understanding of Isheshe and the Yoruba spiritual worldview. Today, we're going to be covering Ogbon, which is one of his latest books, and I'll let him go ahead and give his briefing of where we are now today with Ogbon.
Okay. First of all, peace and blessings. Ekabo to everyone. Welcome. Okay. And I'd like to echo uh, the thanks and the appreciation that you offered, if I call it, to the spiritual lineage, that was brought back from Ejibo, Nigeria, by myself. And of course, I give homage to those who placed my feet in the mud, you know, Araba Malamo, and his mother, who initiated me into Ifa, into Obatala. I'm sorry. Baba Malamo was the Araba, and he initiated me into Ifa, and his mother, Iyanla Keye, Ibaye, okay, initiated me into Obatala. One of the most profound experiences that I've had in my life. Uh, Initiations by necessity need to change the trajectory of one's life, of one's feeling of not being complete, of one pursuing the antithesis of their destiny. So we give homage to our teachers and we say adupwe, you know. And as a teacher, I give homage to those who have sat with me and who have learned from me, because you are honored as well. And that is what makes the Cariday nation and perspective a little different, but different is good. So
That's,
again, I thank you.
thank you. So I have your biography here,
Hmm.
and I just wanted, to present this today, um, just to acknowledge where all you've come from. say?
Mm. Well, it's been a journey, you
Hmm.
know, uh, since the '90s, the early '90s, 91, 92, 93.
That's my whole lifetime.
Okay. I received my elecades in 1986. Okay.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I've been involved as an Abarisha through becoming a Babalorisha and a Babalao, and presently an Amoye or Olumo or
Hmm.
Olumo. Okay. So it's been a minute. Okay. But
Hmm.
within that minute, so much has happened. But as far as my bio, okay, I'm a retired secondary uh, school teacher. Uh, I served that for 25 years. I worked in the independent black schools, the CB schools, Council of Independent Black Institutions, prior to that for about 5 years, out of Newark. So with a great emphasis on uh, our culture and our children and our minds.
For sure.
Okay, so that was interesting in terms of how this person, me, was growing and coming to understand how important it was that we have our own. We have our own perspective, we have our own experiences. So after that, I ended up, teaching at one of the community colleges, and I've been there for uh, 10 years, okay, as an English professor.
Hmm.
So, it's been step by step, no crystal stairs, hard climb, black man in America, I'll just be straight, and dealing with the pipeline to prison, and fighting for us, you know,
Hmm.
within a system that is hand in hand with uh, with the prison industry,
For sure.
and with the death of us, because
Hmm.
either you're educated or you're miseducated,
Hmm.
or even worse, not educated at all.
Hmm.
So it's always been that kind of thing with me, and that's why I share, with initiates that the elay is wherever you put your feet down, you know, and what you stand for is just not, you know, uh, Orisha in a confined place.
Hmm.
You carry Orisha with you, and that's part of your biography. That's part of your authenticity. Is what we stand for. Is what we make real. So part of my biography, you know, is the sojourns that I've made in order to reinforce that. Kenya, back in 1977, you know, I earned that through the college. I went there basically free because I passed all of their tests. It's
Hmm.
Operation Crossroads. So I was working out in the quote unquote bush. But at the same time, I got to experience the cities, Nairobi, you know. So
Hmm.
it was a time of awakening, and then traveling through Europe, and coming to again see, being able to see, not speculate, not be propagandized, and not be driven away from myself, but more so into myself as a result of my travels again to Kenya, Nigeria for initiations, Trinidad, Puerto Rico, the Netherlands, and Brazil, to name a few places,
Hmm.
you know, to include, across the United States. So I've been, in closing, uh, I've been fortunate, and I give thanks to my Egun, my ancestors, and I give thanks to the essence of the natures that I am comprised of, uh, the Orishas.
Hmm.
And I, now, give homage to my Ori, because without the Ori, there are no blessings.
Mhm. Mhm.
So again, in closing, that's a part of my bio, you know, and I appreciate everyone, taking a moment, because I want you to know me. I want to be transparent. I want you to know that there's no hidden agendas. I want you to know that I earn my stripes, you know, and the scars that you don't see, just because you don't see them, that doesn't mean they're not there. I fought for this. The books that I've written have led to death threats. The books that I've written have led to burnings, literally. But I did not and I will not yield.
Mhm. I
I,
shall. Mhm. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad that you have made many strides and come to where we are now so that we can celebrate you and embrace you and continue to uphold, all of your teachings and the wisdom and the knowledge that you have established so far. So
couldn't agree.
we so yeah, we're starting with Agbe today. And I did your biography. Let's move over to the forward. This is where we should start here.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned, your path, you say you were initiated in 1986,
But
right?
that's when I received my electors.
In your decades. And
Hmm. You
I
know.
just can only imagine, what from all of the things that I've heard about the 80s, the late 80s, and what was going on during that time, like
Mhm.
what brought you to that point, and and you say like I'm choosing this path. I'm going to
Mhm.
choose Ifeanyi Sheshe path
Well,
instead.
straight up, okay. It was the drums.
The
I
drum.
had taken an interest in percussion,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I was studying it, while at Rutgers University here in New Jersey. And I was playing in the band. I got to travel with some noted people, on little mini tours and all that kind of thing, because I was getting good at what I was doing. So on this one day of destiny, uh, one elder came up to me, uh, and he gave me a pamphlet. It was just a little book, couldn't have been no more than 10, 15 pages, but it was
Mm-hmm.
all about Orishas.
Mm-hmm.
And when I glanced through it, it captured me. It captivated me. It resonated, you know, and I haven't been the same since.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept on as a percussionist, and I'm learning, different rhythms for different Orisha, from Bata rhythms to congas played by people like Manco Santa Maria. And then I started to see that all of the cool cats were into Orisha in one form or another.
Yeah.
You know? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, what's going on, with this, and why am I being pulled towards it?
Mm-hmm.
So of course, you start meeting people, and the next thing you know, I'm in Puerto Rico. The next thing you know, that one of the Puerto Rican Babalo Rishas, has kind of this. He was like, "There's something about this one. We need to snatch this one up right quick," because spirit is just all over him. And next thing you know, Ben Bays. The next thing you know, the whole, you know,
Mm-hmm. Were
and
you performing at the Bimbes?
at a few of them, yes. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there was always something more about it. And then, of course, when people get mounted, it's like, oh, Batala, yeah, oh, the Orisha, oh, you need to be spirit say you Babalao. And I'm like, what these fools talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it was resonating. So I rode the winds of greater possibilities for myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And whenever I came up with a conflict, when I felt as though people would treat me unfairly or trying to force me to do something that I didn't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
I left. I left. You know, there's always higher ground. You just got to be ready to climb it.
Yeah.
But if you stay stuck in the quicksand, it's predictable what's going to happen. You know, you're going to suffocate.
Get dragged. Yes.
So it was like just keep moving. Let spirit guide you since you're so spiritual. Let it guide you. Don't get chained down to the earthly stuff. I sure didn't. Next thing you know, I'm working with Babalao out of Nigeria, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Baba Alpha Lavi Ipega. And
How did
so,
you find them? If I may ask, I don't mean to cut you off, but how did you
no,
find?
no, no. Mm-mm.
How did you end up coming in contact? Was he here in the West, or did you?
Yeah, yeah. He was in New York.
Oh.
Okay, he and his family. Uh, he's passed on as well. But
Mhm.
I was introduced to him, and it was like, okay, and I'm getting a little closer now. Because now I'm learning about the Odus. Now it's becoming clear to me that I'm a diviner. You know,
Mhm.
and 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 not only was that divine for me, by the numerous people, in the circles that I was now finding myself in, but it was becoming clear to me because I was exploring it and I was seeing that, you know, I can do this.
Mhm.
I can do this. Then getting into Palo and um, exploring that from the Bakongo and finding out that I was more of a ancestral because when I did my DNA, it placed me more so from the Bakongo, okay, of like the Cameroons.
Mhm.
So it's not like a one road leads to all the places that we've been. There
Yeah.
there there are many roads,
Yes.
but there's just one you. There's just one us. And so we continue the journey, but we need to continue. We are advised to continue to make sense of it and to braid it in to this magnificent expression of creation that each one of us are.
That's shame. So you have to be about 30, late 30 something, and you're in the 80s,
Hmm.
early 90s, and you take on the path of Ifa through an Eleke ceremony, and then I would say that you started writing. Did you just start journaling your way? Because we have to think about it. There's no internet. There's not Instagram or anything. So you're just journaling your way throughout it, and you're meeting people and writing your stories. How did that take place? Because I'm looking here at the forward, and
Hmm.
I'm just trying to place myself there visually of like what took place.
Well, yeah, but, I've always been considered and learned to consider myself as studious,
Hmm.
and even as a youngster, back in the 50s, I enjoyed writing.
Hmm.
This whole school system thing, it's not really geared for our profession.
Hmm.
Like nobody said to me, "Oh, we enjoy your writings," and we even present them in the auditorium and everything. But no one ever said you can become a professional writer. No
Hmm.
one ever said, we're going to back you. No one said we're going to support, you being a writer. They were just like, you know, we're just going to use you for our entertainment or, look at this one.
Hmm.
But that didn't stop me from doing what came naturally to me. I mean, I was reading novels at, 6 and 7 years old. you
Hmm.
know, and,
Okay.
and by the fourth grade, they were trying to tell me I had a ADHD and all that kind of stuff. And
Really?
my mother was like, "Don't know, there ain't going to be no classification. You know, my boy is a genius, and I will fight you. you know, before I let you start tearing him down even more, you know, than the system is. Because see, we were coming from down south,
Mm-hmm. The
so
Carolinas, correct? South
yeah,
Carolina.
South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you understand it's not just something that became a part of the system that I was in. It was something that was a part of me, and it would took 40 years later before it became, you know, clear.
Yeah.
This is what your Ori. This
Yeah.
is your Yanmo. This is what your destiny has
Mm-hmm.
always been. And when I look at you and when I look at my people, I see the destiny. I don't see what society has done. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the undoing of us. I see the glory and the magnificence of us.
That's
You know, but I
Abora, hey,
had,
to one of you,
yeah.
you have your carrot days in the chat, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Blessings. I saw about Ifa, Shegun,
Yeah.
and there was somebody else. Who was it? Was it Ade?
Adiola.
Blessings, Adeola.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yes.
see, so when we come to me,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I know I'm going out on a limb by saying this, but I'm famous for,
Mm-hmm.
I see differently who you are. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
When we find ourselves going to other places whose reflections of us aren't clear or aren't even there,
Mm-hmm.
we become what I'm looking at. We become expendable. You know what I mean? We become just what can I get from you and for how long?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but don't think, don't write, and there are some places don't even want you to read. Don't
Right.
read anybody else's work. I've come across all of this, and I'm like, look how they do us. You know, I'm saying, but not over here. And
Yeah.
if I got to create something or a place, a haven, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll do it. And that's when I founded the Temple of the Mystic Path, Ile Tawolona, back in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it lasted for close to 25 years before I shut it down.
Wow, that is a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. But it was a good long time,
Yeah.
and a lot of goodness came out of it. It had its ups and downs. That's life.
Yeah.
But it maintained a steady course. And now it's still maintaining a steady course. We're just on a different level. We're on a different planet. We're in a whole different universe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Cosmically speaking. But it's still there. You know? It's still there. The Temple of the Mystic Path is still there. We're just in
Yeah.
another dimension.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's at your feet.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
wherever you go, it's still there.
It's still there. Right. And so now I continue to write. You understand? You know, I continue to write. Ogbon being my latest, but this makes my eighth or ninth book. You know, and I'm not looking. Who's that? Robin, blessings, Robin. I'll go out to you know. So I'm not looking to be the New York Times bestseller. You understand what I'm just saying? Oh, I'm looking to change the trajectory of people's lives. I'm looking at people and saying we're doing stuff ritually, but we're not studying spiritually. We're riding on the winds of somebody else's, construct. We think we're the wind, but we're the leaf. You know what I mean? And,
Mm-hmm.
and one way to turn that around is to provide information, to provide study and data, not propagation and regurgitation. It's like everything that I say, I can back up.
Mm-hmm.
I can back up with either empirical evidence or anecdotal evidence. Either I got the facts or I have the years,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to put in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully, that answers your question.
Yes, of course it does. Of course. As I see, you said that in this forward, the question of emerging into a Sheshe and holding defied, the core was shackled by increasing paralysis that
Mhm.
happens as a result of the impact of um,
Abrahamics, yeah.
Abrahamic. Yeah, I was going
Uh,
to say Arabic
no, it's okay.
religious, the two religious
Mhm.
doctrine and indoctrination. My intent is not to argue the existence or continual practice, however, I maintain when we, as Isheshe and Ifa priests and priestesses and devotees, continue to hold salvation of matter or Christian or Islamic acceptance, um, then in a very real sense, what's the point ultimately? Peace.
Exactly. Oh, you want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, because I know that you had your Elay, and as I was reading it, I was thinking of how many people come from that background, whether they were Muslims or whether they were Christians.
Mhm.
Like
Well,
how
everybody.
did yeah? Because even to this day, I have met many people that are coming from the background, and it's kind of conflicting, But
Yeah,
yeah,
but that's okay. Conflict is good. Like I was sharing with you, confusion is good. Conflict is good. Because if we don't experience it and grow from it, then we are literally not growing.
hmm
You know? So and I've come through it. It's like, come on, I'm from the South. Grandmother took me to church. You understand? I knew church. Mother was dragging me, kicking and screaming, to the church. You
hmm
know, she tried to get me baptized. I'm knocking over the water. It's like, no. Even back then, as a child, it was like, and I had to tell him, if you make me do this and I don't really want to do this, then what's the point? This is not my salvation. I must have been like 9, 8 years old. It was like, no,
yeah,
no, and if you're going to cast me out, then you better throw me very far away. But,
hmm
but the whole thing is, see, when we have those kind of spirits inside of us, was it? Oh well, he's no. I've been ancestrally driven. This is what I came down with. But I understand that the religious bond is more of an emotional bond. We love our grandparents. We love you understand what I'm saying? So
yeah,
we associate it. We love Christmas because that was a time when you understand. So I get that. But what I must emphasize is that if we're involved in Ifeanyi Sheshe, and if we're just doing it to ritualize and go supernatural and be fascinated by the other mind dimensions that exist, period,
hmm
you know, then we are missing a very, very important part of it. It's here for our salvation, you know, and you know to see how it's been you know twisted and gentrified, to state that, oh well, and I've heard this from Latino communities. Oh well, the African part is the spell part, and the part you do to protect yourself and get it. But the Christian part, that's the part that's for your salvation. That's the part that gets you to heaven. I was like, get out of here. Get out of here. But that's evident because most of them were raised Catholic.
yeah,
You understand? So they're hard pressed to believe what has been instilled in them while they were young, just like we got the Baptists and all of that. But all of the churches came out of Catholicism. And so when people tell me, oh, I'm not Catholic, I'm Christian, I'm like, you're,
hmm
you're unknowing. That's like saying you don't know who your great granddaddy is. You
hmm
know, I get it. But the truth is, you had one. You may not know who it is. So you may not know Catholicism gave birth to being a Baptist or a Pentecostal, or a Protestant. You may not know that. The
hmm
only thing I can suggest is open up a book,
yes,
and learn where you're coming from. Now, in light of the salvation, you know, it, but you put 100 Ifa Isheshe devotees in a room and
hmm
ask them, how is your involvement in this? impacting your view, your perspective of you being a saved soul.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would dare say that 99 out of 100 we looking at you like you're crazy, you know, because it's all about a very earthly thing. And what I'm trying to share is we need to be able to kind of let go of that indoctrination, the Abrahamics. As
Mhm.
tough as it is, I know it's hard,
Mhm.
but it has to happen. And you can still keep the emotional bonding. You can still keep the love that you have, you know? You just don't have to bow down to Eurocentric imagery. You don't have to bow down to them saving us
Mhm.
religiously or in any other way, you know? So that's why uh, I had that to say.
Yes, I see. So let's go to the let's see here. So I know that you spoke about where everything was coming from. This
Mhm.
picture here was fascinating. Can you tell me more about this picture and why you added it to the book?
Well, I put pictures inside the book Ogbon
Yeah.
because, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words,
Mhm.
but only to those who value the pictures and to those who value the words.
Mhm.
We grew up and grow up with the notion that our people weren't great.
Right.
We grow up with the notion that we're just like the sidekick of the sidekick in
Mhm.
terms of civilizations and contributions to humankind. You know, the overall savage, the overall noble savage, the overall, ignorant of, the the givings of Christ and ignorant of the heavens beyond. And, you're just, you know, dirt.
Mhm.
But everything says the opposite. I was in the museums throughout Europe, and this is what they've taken out of our civilization: the bronze casting, the great works. We don't even hear about the Benin Wall, which is larger than the Great Wall of China. We just don't hear about it. We don't know about it. So we get put into this container of everything we do got to be song and dance. Everything we do, has got to be, shake a tail feather. You know what I mean? Everything has got to be, us having this great celebratory time and very little
Mhm.
about connecting with the magnificence, the greatness of our artistry, of our technical abilities,
Yes.
because the research states that even the technology of the day was born out of Europeans who studied the E5 signatures.
Mhm.
So if we can see it, we can be it. And granted, there are a few people in echelons over here and over there who are like, oh, well, we know this and we do this and we do that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not filtering down to the people.
Mhm.
It's still a matter of a very select and elitist group. But this is why my writings take root, because my group is us. My group is the importance of the masses of people of African descent, and not trying to kind of satisfy, the PhD people. I used to go to conferences, and these folks, with their massive degrees and everything, and they're speaking very theoretically. And when they come to me, it's like, well, I got my little piece of paper. but it seems like I'm making more out of that than all of you with all y'all papers because
Yeah.
you talking about doing stuff that I'm doing.
Hmm.
You know, you're intellectualizing it and theorizing it and hypothetically, this and that. And I'm like, but my feet are on the ground, my hands are in the dirt. My people are growing as a result
Hmm.
of my work. So
I love how you said that because I find myself in amongst conversations where people are talking about times today, urgencies of today, what we're
mhm,
gonna do, or how things are failing as a system and stuff. And I'm like, I understand that, but I also know a lot of communities or people who are boots on the ground actually doing things in the community and they don't have degrees or they probably dropped out or they completed it but it's not even of what they studied, like they're doing
mhm,
something completely different and they're just like there's a food shortage here, I want to create, a community garden over here, and I'm like I want to be over there wherever they are, or there's some self-defense classes over here, and they're the person that's leading it might be like a delinquent child that dropped out and got their GED or something. It's
mhm,
just what are you actually doing and how are you applying
right.
your papers, your degrees? How are you actually doing it? Are you just talking about it, but you go home from being exhausted from your work day, and then you're just only focused on you and your family?
Mhm,
Your children got to grow up at some point. They're going to
mhm,
ask questions. They might need community, and that community is amongst those people who have taken the initiative to do it. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
completely agree with you when you say that. Yeah. So I know that we were going to talk about today um, Tawede.
Mhm,
So yeah, um, I really want your viewpoint, and I want to dive into
mhm.
this. I'm sure that there should be some people watching that also might be excited, just as excited as I am. So let's get started with that.
Oh, okay. So, Tawede is a concise, Ifa Sheshe philosophical observance.
Mhm.
Now, in line with all that I've laid out,
Yeah.
okay, you have individuals who are like, well, why we keep celebrating these European holidays?
Mm-hmm.
And again, the emotional bonding. And again, we got days off, and again, it's a time of sharing and gifts and family get togethers, everything combined. And I would say, okay, all that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in Ifa and Isheshe.
Yeah.
And outside of the Catholic syncretisms,
Mm-hmm.
oh, but this is Yemoja Day and this is
Yeah.
Shango celebratory day that comes once a year or every blue moon or whenever. But the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing is, it still reeks of a Eurocentricness. And I, even when I went to Brazil, you know, the people were like, "Oh, well, the first thing they wanted to do was drag me to a cathedral because see, when you make priesthood in these places, going to the cathedrals, that's part of the process because you got to remember they're still Catholics, you know, who just happen to again work with Orisha, and I'm just making an observation, and it's my observation. It's no slight. It is what it is. I don't have any argument with it. I ain't got time. But the whole thing is that wanting to celebrate in ways and in forms that are not of our choosing, that are not of our making, to be consistently injected with, you got to accept Christ. You got to accept the Abraham. You got to accept, a Catholic way of thinking,
Mhm.
even if you're in an African-based traditional and spiritual way of being.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, hell no. I was polite, but I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not,
Mhm.
and you can't make me go where I don't want to go, you know? And no matter what you do, you know, my spirit, my essence, and the reasons why I'm here is not to be further indoctrinated into the, oh, I don't know who I am, where I am, and let me try to find my way to salvation,
Yeah.
you know, through through you. I'm looking to find it through me. Where's the Rumula? Where's all the real Orisha folks up in here?
Mhm.
And they respected it, and they respected me for it. But the point that I'm making is, and again, I think that was back in '95 or whatever. I was down in Sao Paulo, but
Mhm.
and I learned a lot from that. But one of the things I learned from that is how empty we are here in the States,
Mhm.
you know, and we echo, the Centuria and the Candomblé, you know, and the Lukumi. We echo it, but we don't have anything of our own.
Mhm.
So Spirit woke me up one morning and kept me up for 3, 4 days.
Mhm.
And like, you know what? Quit talking about what you don't have and pull on what you do. And you do have the ability. You are a son of Orumila and have been since birth. When they initiated me, they said you would have been a Babalawo at 7 years old. And this was coming from, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
some of the top Babalaos. So I'm still accepting that. I'm still undoing the undoing that has been done to me.
Mhm.
Yes. Ifashegun says it's like a form of self-hatred. As if, yes, Ifashegun, and no disrespect for people who are on that road, travel it in peace. But I'm not on that road. I don't want to go down that road. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to be ostracized, that I'm going to be criminalized,
Yeah.
you know? No. So again, Spirit had me, Arumila would set me down,
Mhm.
you know, said, you didn't come here to
Yeah.
entertain. You didn't come here to to sell out. You came here to do what I sent you here to do, and what we agreed that you were going to do
Mhm.
before you were even born.
Mhm.
And then I picked up a paper from somewhere, and I started reading the Odu Ejiagbe, and there was a story in there that fascinated me. You know, it was about this sister, name is Tawede, wanting to have a child. She was barren. She went to the Babalao. The Babalao gave her the Odu and underwent make offerings to Obatala. She did as she was instructed, but still she did not conceive. Time had passed, she had not conceived. She started to doubt. Okay. She went back to the Babalao. So the Babalao is not working. I'm still a year or two has passed. I still have not conceived. Babalao said, do not give up your faith. Do not give up hope.
Mhm.
Continue to do, but also make changes within yourself.
Yeah.
She followed Babylon. And see, it wasn't about going and making, sacrificial offering. It was about coming to an understanding
Mhm.
that along with the offering, you have to make changes within yourself, you know, and not even being told what those changes were. She knew what she had to work on,
Mm-hmm.
but she just didn't have the inner strength to do it. But the Babalao was granting her that inner strength through Ifa. She did. She followed. The next time she came back, she was joyous. She had conceived. You understand? So I'm like, that is so important because on a metaphysical level, it's about how we conceive our thoughts, how we conceive our perceptions, how we conceive
Mm-hmm.
our outlook and inlook. Okay, and and it dawned on me how many of us are barren.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't get pregnant with creativity. You know what I mean? We don't give birth to new, and we don't give birth to exciting. We just give birth to attempts to give birth. You know, so I said, got it, got it, and it's going to be 16 days. And it's going to be at a time when people are already in a celebratory mode, between Christmas and Kwanzaa. And
Uh-huh.
some people are asking, well, are you going to infuse something about Christianity in Taiwan? I'm like, oh, what? Do you know who you're talking to right now, right? No slight, go on and got to stop people from putting leckes on Christmas trees and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Stories I could tell. But all in all, it's like, no, I didn't even want to infuse Kwanzaa because, Kwanzaa is very mundane. And I'm not speaking against it. I'm just seeing it for what it is. Necessary. People set up Kanaras and Kwanzaa in their church, in the schools, in the apartment complex. It's like there's no like Ifa Isheshe connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying instead of going through all that, why don't we focus on the Odus? Why don't we take 16 days and every single day focus on the Odus from the Ile Ife order
Mm-hmm.
utilized by the Babalaos? Because
Mm-hmm.
you could go 20 miles down the road and the order is going to be different. That order is not cut and dry everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're Ia Larisha or Baba Larisha and you're using the Marindi Lagoon, then that order is not the same as the order that the Babalaos use.
Mm. Okay.
See? So you kind of had, you choose which order you're going to abide by. It's like there's more than one martial art form. You know what I mean? Even
Mm-hmm.
within the martial art form, it subdivides. There's different styles of kung fu, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you pick the order, okay, or the order that picks you, and then you grow from that. I utilize the Ile Ife order because I've been to Ile Ife. I was initiated close to Ile Ife.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Arumula's to the mountain that Arumula uh, spoke from, taught from. Okay, I've been there. I knelt at the shrine at Ile Ife.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, this is the order. This is the order I'm used to. This is the order I'm utilizing. This is the order that I've been blessed with. So during Taway Day, which basically means to uproot oneself, to cleanse oneself, and to be delivered by the efforts of oneself. Taway Day. That's how I interpret it. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
now we have in motion, and I think I first published something about it in like 2011. It's now 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I just came up with this out of the blue, you know? So we bring into to our reality as Ifa and Isheshe devotees, Tawede, and the emphasis on our salvation. We are only able to save ourselves. Ifa, the Orisha, they assist in that process. Okay? We have the capacity to study the Odu, you know? and this kind of step out of this Catholic, well, only the priests know the mysteries and the secrets. You know how long it took for the Bible to be available to the masses. You know how many people were killed and how people were smuggling the Bible across the English Channel into England. If you got caught, it was like you was dealing cocaine or something. They would, the Catholic folks, they would hunt you down because only, the priests should have, this kind of knowledge and this kind of information and this kind of power. Only through them can you get to Jesus, and only through Jesus can you get to God. Nothing about you getting to yourself. So it was it was a crime. Right. But see, and this is carried over. And I noticed that dealing with, some of the Babalao, especially the Latino Babalao. It was like, and the houses, it was like, well, only the Babalao can know this, and only the Babalao can know that, and only Babalao can know this, and only Babalao can know that. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. You
Yeah.
got little Christian kids going to Bible school and they're learning about the Bible. You got Islamic kids memorizing the Quran starting at 8, 9 years old. But you're telling me that, you know, that you are going to have a stranglehold on,
Mm-hmm.
on basically, quote unquote, the saving grace of Ifani Sheshe? I said, I got something for all that, Jack. I got something for all that, you know?
Yeah.
So I started, teaching systems of learning the Odu, not memorizing it, you know, but coming to embrace it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you were mentioning. Is there an echo? I'm sorry. I like that you are mentioning that it's necessary to journal during those times, so that one can come to their own understanding, I suppose.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because when you journal, then you're putting thought into it. You're just not being told. You're
Hmm.
being taught.
Yeah.
And that the greatest teacher that is teaching you is yourself. It's like, we're grown, and then, no children up in here. And as you notice, I don't even use that term. You
Yeah.
know,
Got children.
yeah, you know.
My almost.
Yeah, but if that's what people do, that's what they do. But it's just not for me. Like I
Yeah.
said in the beginning, I see you as more than that. And I don't want you relegated that, because what you keep calling somebody has an impact on how they respond, and how they see themselves. That's just pure science.
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know and people, oh, you're a child of God. No, I'm not a child of God.
I kind of get a little cringe when I hear somebody say that, or if they say like a woman of God, a God fearing woman. Like,
All of that, come on now. You know what I mean? And they got me wanting to believe that, I am the essence of God. you know
mm-hmm.
I am the breath of God. I am the being of God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on a plantation. I'm not the pickaninny. I'm not the child. And I refuse to accept it, because I grew up in a time where a black man wouldn't even be called Mister.
Mm.
He was always a boy,
Boy. Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
or worse, you know. And now I'm a grown AZZ man, and now you still want to call me a child? I said, no, don't call me muchacho and all that kind of stuff. I'm not your boy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I'm not your boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in this to become less than the man that I was born to be.
Mm-hmm.
And see my people, in the greatness that I know they are, even if they don't know it themselves. See? So journalizing is necessary, but journalizing comes in many ways. Okay. I'm not saying it's a bad term, opinion. Okay. I'm not saying it's a bad term. You did not hear me say it was a bad term. Okay, so don't get too defensive. Don't get too twisted. I said that I don't accept it. And I also said that whoever accepts it, that's their path, that's their road. I'm not here to, kind of debate that. But I'm not going to be called a child of anything. Not no, no. I'm just not. I accept the responsibility and the accountability for being an adult. And like
Mhm.
I said, call me the essence of God. Call me the being of God. Okay? Call me the creation, okay, of God. But do not call me a child. Do not call me a child. And that's just me. If there's people out there who go with that, then of course I respect it. Okay. But I also want those people to respect the fact that I'm not going to identify you as a child of anything. And I won't let you identify me as a child.
Mhm.
Okay. They hide information. Oh, okay, Robin. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. That is in part, it's monetary and it's
Mhm.
ego, you know. But yes,
I
yes.
agree with that because even whenever you were mentioning being
Hmm.
brought to the different cathedrals or whatnot,
Hmm.
um, and and as you were talking in my mind, I'm thinking like, how could they be accepting, well, embracing the Sheshe life or the Orisha path, but then they're inviting somebody to go to these cathedrals? And I'm thinking about it like, well, that does remind me of today's modern time of consumerism in a sense, or
Hmm.
just buying into the holidays, uh,
Hmm.
buying into the holidays and wanting to celebrate all of that. And if you don't have it, then um, I guess you don't have the spirit of the holiday or something. But
Right.
then, or your children are made to feel like, well, my mom's not doing a good job or dad's not doing a good job because they don't. I, you get what I'm saying? How it correlates in a sense.
Yeah, they want to ostracize, That uh, uh, okay, opinion. It's all good. Thank you, you know. So it's something because it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, you know. And then again, they want to attack your children. What? You don't go out for Halloween? Your daddy don't let you go out for Halloween? And my kids were like, no, filling us up with all that junk and candy, just to kind of buy into, whatever the monetary uplift is for that. You understand? They don't give a damn about us, as Michael Jackson would say. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us, but I care about us. Them not caring about us need not affect how I care about us and how you care about me. That's part of the escape from the conditioned state of mind. We got to think like the oppressors in order
Mhm.
to be accepted
Yeah,
until we're lynched.
yeah.
Understand? So
I just had read a post this
that's
morning of a pastor who
hmm
got fired. A pastor who got fired because he went and picked up 31 African American black children and brought them to the church. I guess that church didn't want, black people to attend, or there was an issue or something. And in my mind, I'm like, if people don't get it by now, that level of acceptance or that dire need to want to be acceptance, that's what it all comes down to. It's like it's truly the trick of the enemy to want to be accepted amongst different sectors of religion in that sense. Like, if it don't spark something to say, I want to know more about my own indigenous heritage or
hmm
other practices or something, some people might not get
hmm
it. I don't think some people might really not get it.
yeah, but and that's okay, you know. But what's not okay is for the people who do get it to not have anywhere to go, to not have anywhere to have these discussions. Because see, this is a part of journalizing.
Mm-hmm.
Journalizing isn't always sitting down and writing. It's having constructive dialogue. It's being a painter and painting something that your spirit is moving you to paint through your study of the Odu, through your involvement in Ishe and Ifa Isheshe, and not just regurgitate, basically what you've seen somewhere else. How is your spirit moving you? How is it
Yeah.
a part
Mm-hmm.
of your growth, your transformation, your ascension? You know, how is it? And if these questions can't be answered, then I have to look at me and say, am I doing a good enough job? Am I presenting my eldership in this Ifa Isheshe tradition in a way that people not follow me, but follow the echoing of their ancestors, of their nature, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as personified and anthropomorphized. It's made to look like a human being, or it works through an avatar, of a nature. Shango is a certain nature, representing nature. Oya is a certain nature. Our people were looking at the storms over the Niger River, and that's how the Oya principle came into being. You understand? These principles are born from nature, and we are nature. There's no argument. There's nothing that says that we are not,
Mm-hmm.
except for the fact that we choose not to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone told us that that's not our responsibility. You know, we shouldn't be accountable to the nature of ourselves. After all, you're just a child.
Yeah. I remember coming into Ifa and receiving the Orishas of Oshun and Shango,
Hmm.
and often saying, "I'm a child of Oshun," or "I'm a daughter of Oshun." I got the energy, or I got the uh, or Shango walks at my feet. But
Hmm.
then I was struggling financially and emotionally. And
Hmm.
then whenever I would be like, well, why isn't this working? Or why, if I'm supposed to be the daughter of Oshun, why is this going on? Why is this happening? And it really took for me like years later to really step back. One, I realized it was like, it had to do with like energy. Like I've come into an energy,
Hmm.
and I I stayed there for a while until I realized that okay, I need to make something happen. It isn't just about just saying like, okay, I'm daughter of Oshun, so now
Hmm.
I must be this way or dress this way or you
Yeah.
know you know, I think that a lot of times people get that misperceived whenever they say, "Well, what is my guardian Orisha or whatnot?" And then suddenly they start cosplaying, but then their life is something else.
Yes.
Their life is something else, and so I was experiencing that in the beginning until I had to take accountability of
Hmm.
that, where my life was at, and then that was just prior to me completing my TEPA. And whenever I got to the point of about to take that beginning stage of my Tepa, my
Hmm.
Orisha changed. It wasn't Oshun and Shango anymore. It went to being Olokun.
Hmm.
And so I understand that even just knowing that, okay, child of,
Hmm.
when I become an adult and I have to take responsibility,
Right. Right.
I need to set a schedule and commit to something, devote to something other than Oshun and Shango. Maybe my life in a schedule, maybe the way that I'm managing my finances or something like that's like all steps of accountability. And in nature,
Right.
that will be the way to go. Like how can we adjust to what is neutral, like what works for us naturally so that we can have a more lifestyle of ease versus let me just dress up really quick because this is how I adorn myself as a child of Oshun.
Yeah.
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 So, so now I wanted to dive into the first part because you mentioned about Tawere and the introduction of celebrating the Odus or honoring the Odus in the way that Ile Ife would do. So they
Hmm.
were in order, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Versus I've seen before where people would be like, okay, maybe they'll throw Pele, get a no do, and then they'll meditate on it, come to their own perspective of what that is, and
Mhm.
then also associate it to a tarot card or a zodiac period.
Mhm.
Like, what's your thoughts on that when it comes down to really like studying?
Well, I've seen it all and more, you know. And again, whatever works for you. Because like when the people ask me about Kwanzaa and Christianity and all that, being infused into our way day, it was like, no, that's not what this is about. But whatever you're doing, if
Mm-hmm.
that's working for you, then
Mm-hmm.
work it. Okay. But over here, we're developing our own school of thought. We're developing a way to be more accountable, to have greater responsibility, and to focus specifically on the Odu. That doesn't mean we have to go to war with people. It means that we just need to be away from y'all. You know what I mean? So if you want to do tarot cards and you see a correlation or you make a comparative analysis or comparative study, then to me that's growth. I did that in the handbook. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I list the Urdu, and then I would list a biblical passage, a Quranic passage, a Buddhist passage, and people loved it because it gave them something to build off of, something that they knew,
Mm-hmm.
helping them to understand something that they did not know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Oh,
that was a strategy. Now,
mm-hmm.
if a person wants to study the Urdu and make again correlations, and that person is growing as a result, and the people who are coming to that person are growing as a result, then my statement is bless you. It's all good. Okay,
Yeah.
because depending on who you are, when you come to me for divination, I'm not just going to sit down and press a button and then just start rattling off what I've memorized about the Odu. I have to
Mm-hmm.
take you and where you're coming from into account.
Yeah, you do.
You
Otherwise,
know,
well, what does that have to do with me today? You know, like a disconnect.
but oh well, go home and figure it out and bring $700 and a chicken, okay? But what does that have to do with me?
Yeah.
You know, so a person come to me, for example, who's and I'm speaking quickly because of time constraints and there's so much to get out, you know.
Hey, take your time. I
But
have time.
okay, but the elder comes to me and something, and this is okay, hypothetically, all right, just to drive home a point, and says that uh, my daughter and her husband won't let me see my grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
And this elder comes to me in the middle of the night because she doesn't want anybody to let her church know that she's coming to see, the old voodoo man.
Which doctor?
You know what I mean? Yeah. The witch doctor. And so it's quiet in the temple, because it's late. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, But I get up because somebody's at the door. You understand? This is not a 9 to 5, yo. So I get up. Yes, can I help you? I really need to see you. I can't sleep. Da 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 da. You come in. Cass, say, oh, there's problems in the home. What's on your mind? The Odu is speaking of, turmoil between you and a daughter. Is there a child involved? She said, yes, yes, yes. Why won't they let me see my grandbaby? So I have to take into account that this is an elder, a grandmother. B is that she's so distraught that she can't even sleep
Mm-hmm.
because there's something happening that needs to be rectified and resolved.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't come here to see how great of a babalawo I was, you know what I mean, and what I can do, and she didn't come to be given go get a guinea hen and sacrifice to Oshun. She's not coming from there. She's coming from her heart. She's coming from her ancestral bearing. She's coming from a traumatic childhood that she doesn't want her grandbaby to have. See, as diviners, we're not readers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're
Yeah.
diviners,
Mm-hmm.
diviners. And if we can't see the divinity in others, much less ourselves, then we don't need to use that term. Just be happy calling yourself a reader, and everybody who comes to you is a client.
Yeah.
If that's the boat that you in, I hope that you get to where you need to get to. But
Mm-hmm.
as for
Fast.
me,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, elder, let's talk about it. You invite them to share, to get it off their chest, so to speak. And then, okay, do this, do that, get some flowers, put out a bowl of honey, and find a prayer from any holy book that you want,
Yeah.
and and make a sincere offering
Mm-hmm.
to perhaps even change yourself. How are you coming across? Are you being too demanding? These are the
Yeah.
type of things we talk about. Get into their head. And then about 3 weeks later, she come back. This time not in the middle of the night. She come back in the daytime and said, I just want to thank you. And she brought me some tea bags or whatever. I'm
Sweet
like,
gesture.
I'll tell Rumula be praised. Rumula Talade. Okay.
Mhm.
Baba Mopori Bale. So you understand that's the difference. So people are doing tarot cards. If they want to be readers, let them be readers. If they want to learn from Ifa, fine. But don't dare call yourself a diviner, not in the
Mhm.
sense of being an awo.
Mhm.
If all you want to do is tell people and not teach them.
Mhm.
But again, that's just me, for all of the finger shakers out there in the world. Well, you got to know all the verses of 256 of do. I'm like, no, you don't. That's why they invented writing. Okay, you know, take your notes and get out of it what works for you and the people who come to
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
you.
So, what do you? Can you define pragmatic?
Oh, is the word pragmatic in here?
No, it's just the name of the book, and I'm looking at why you said a
Let me see the name of it. Oh, a pragmatic approach to EFA philosophy.
I was just wanting you to just tap
Okay.
on it a
Uh,
bit.
a lot of people have been asking that question. You know, some even said, you know, what does that have to do with E5? And I'm like, everything.
Mm-hmm.
See, being pragmatic means that it's put in a form that can be utilized, actually, you know, more concretely than abstractly, you know, more life changing than life expectationing. You understand? Oh, well, if I work hard, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. uh, yeah, according to him. But being pragmatic is basically means I'm going to make my heaven right here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that whole kind of, again, abstract, out there kind of thinking. Well, if you just do right, the Lord going to bless you and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But pragmatically speaking, you know, if you're doing right, then you're doing right for the betterment of yourself.
Yeah.
And see, we've been raised to think that, oh, that's not religious, or oh, that's not good. You need to pray for forgiveness. Well, I'm like, no, you need to change your ways. You know, all right. You can't keep masking your accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So when you deal with pragmaticism, that means that whatever you're taking, you must take into account the actual impact that it's having
Mm-hmm.
on you, on the philosophical you, on the you that studies life, on the you that studies your inner being. That's what pragmatic means. Putting a finger on the pulse of what's working for you and what's not. I've seen too many people, they broke and busted, but oh, I got to come up with $500 because if I keep paying for this offering, to do these offerings, things are going to change. Yeah, things are going to change, all right. You're just going to be more broke.
Yeah.
You're just going to be more and more broke. You know,
That reminds me of like whenever you're at the store and they be like, save an extra $20 if you buy this. No, I'm spending more money to buy this extra thing here.
right? That
Not
I
save.
don't need really. So keep it. But the whole thing is, and I watch my people, and either it's because of fear or because of trusting. Oh, but that's what they said I should do, or
Yeah.
oh, but I'm gonna curse you if you don't come up with $800 to do this and do that. Yeah, but my car's in the shop, yo. You know what I mean? But if you just give the money to Obatala, then everything will be fixed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, granted, there may be some things that happen, fine. But pragmatically speaking, you know, if you came to me and I know that that was your last $800,
Mm-hmm.
I might be like, are your bills paid?
Mm-hmm.
No. If you want to leave 100, that's fine. But are all your bills paid? Do do you need to pay me later? I've worked out all kinds of things with people, you see, because I've been pragmatic. I just really recently captured the term so
Mm-hmm.
that I can put it out there. But I've lived it as a palero. I've lived it as a Babalarisha and as a Babalao. You know, people go, oh, I really need to get this. And Baba, can you help me? I don't have all the money. Can I just give you half now and half later? And I'm like, okay, knowing full well that if I don't get it, you know,
Yeah.
it's all good because see, I have to do what I have to do. And if I
Mm-hmm.
can help you, I'm going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's the difference between being a diviner and being a reader. People thought, oh, I'm a Babalao, I'm an Iyalao. Yeah, but a lot of them were dirt poor. They were like monks.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be it, but you want to be it your way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm like 50-50. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I'm going to help you however I can. So go get your car fixed. That's how you get back and forth to work. You understand? And the people tithe in the church for generations, and then when they need that $800 and they go to the pastor, well, I need $800. Pastor look at them like they crazy.
Yeah.
There's too many stories like that. I don't
I
want to
think,
be like that.
and I think that when people come into Babalaos or E-allows or whatever that's pushing that, they should reassess why why they need that connection because it's obviously it's obviously self-serving of the person, the Ialao or the Babalao, for them to not consider what's real, like you said, like what's pragmatic with the person that's really going on, like what's exactly going on. Like when you mentioned Tawede, she was barren
Hmm.
and she sought for divination and whatnot, and then she had to go make the sacrifices. So what if that Babalao had told her, you need a goat, or a cow, $600 and to recite this Odu that you probably don't know because you don't speak Yoruba,
Hmm.
and there's so many things that people run into even today
Yeah.
that I know today, myself and many other people, that they are stressed out trying to figure out what or how or who they can find the information so that they can get themselves right, get aligned
Right.
spiritually,
Yeah.
but they're coming in contact with people who are misusing them, like how you mentioned.
Yeah.
So like Tawede, she went and did what she needed to do necessarily in order for her to be able to conceive a child
Yeah.
afterwards. Um, a lot of times that might be hard for people to just swallow, a hard pill for people to swallow that it really don't require all of that. You don't have to get this pot over here or send this money for this chicken and the medicines and stuff. Um, but some people really believe that they do.
Yeah,
It's like,
people. Oh, I got to give offering to Baba Luaye because my back is tight. I'm like, well, have you tried touching your toes a couple of times? Have you tried, a hang bar? How often do you go for a walk? You understand what I'm saying? So, do a ratio or not a pancreas for everything. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Let me go get a Baba. Somebody trying to put something on me. Well, no, somebody not trying to put something on you. Maybe you're just not working at coordinating your body, mind, and spirit. You're getting a little clumsy. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm looking at that through
yeah,
the years, and I'm saying, my people, you know what addiction really looks like.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was watching a video with the psychiatrist. His name was Gabon, I believe.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with him, and he was talking about trauma and how we don't say no to certain things.
Hmm.
We're pretty much betraying ourselves and in avoiding the work that's necessary for us
Yes,
to be able to do.
right, exactly. And even if we avoid it by getting all religious, okay.
Yeah.
Now there
It,
are stages, so nobody, misunderstands what we're saying here. I would say that well, I'm not only just saying it, I know it because I've been through it. There's different stages that we go through. It's like any other type of training. Okay. You go through certain levels and certain stages. And even from a very yogic study of the meditation
mhm,
practice, you go through different levels. And on different levels, you experience different things. But the objective is to continually grow through those levels. Because if you get stuck on those levels, it could be to your detriment. Okay. I'm just going to do this, and that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But that's not growth. That's not transformation.
mhm,
You know? It's more like I'm here right now. I'm going to learn everything I can, and then I'm going to, as spirit moves me, I'm going to keep trying to find where I need to be. And that brings me to echoing a statement that you made. But see, that's where elders come into play. People, oh, I respect my elders. I'm like, I ain't met too many people in the E5 and Ishishi who respect their elders. They just say it. As a matter of fact, I met some who just try to sneakily, disrespect the elders because they feel as though they have more money or they're more weak of mind. It's like, come on, hustlers.
mhm,
So the whole thing is that even if I will say that before divination, there needs to be wise deliberation.
mhm.
We need to talk about it. There need to be an understanding, and then dafa, not just I need a reading.
Yeah.
Why you need it, and what have you done prior to coming here to
Mhm.
assist you in your growth, your responsibility, your accountability for yourself and for those affected by you.
Yeah.
I see people don't want to hear that, you
But that
know.
would be irresponsible anyways to bring that to another human, another adult. It would
Hmm.
be irresponsible in my opinion to not want to assess or take, like you said, that wise counsel or something. What did you
Oh
say?
yeah, yeah.
You know.
Why counsel before deliberation? Let's deliberate. Let's talk about
Mhm.
it. You know, and
Yeah.
it goes back to psychiatry. Now, there's a few books that I could quote that state that the Babalaos and the priests and priestesses they did serve as what in today's terms would be called the psychiatrists.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not like we don't know that. It's
Mhm.
just that we've been so Catholicized, you know, that we don't see ourselves as having the ability to do that and be that. And the system itself, you know, casts out elders more so than accepts them.
Mhm.
See, elders aren't valued as
Mhm.
much here as in traditional Nigeria. I should say here and now.
Mhm.
You know, we're just throwaways. We don't spend as much money. You know what I mean? We don't, we don't serve the master. We can't work no more. You know, so we just get pushed to the side.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I know time is fleeting. So you want to hit one or two more points?
Well, did you want to summarize as Yakbe this writing, this passage that you have here?
Yeah. Okay. Day one of Tawede, which we just finished on the 31st, because Tawede runs from December 16th to December 31st. 16 days observance,
Mm-hmm.
where we give homage to the Oduifa. I've written in this book and in the book to follow a breakdown of the Odu. Okay. And each day, revelations and epiphanies come to me via my meditations,
Mm-hmm.
which again, most folks in the Ifani Sheshe don't even consider, meditative practices because after all, we're just children. We need to have somebody else think for us, tell us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the Yoruba term or your term for meditation is Isharo. So I've gone and dared to put chakras into Ifa and Isheshe because human beings, now that's in the handbook. Okay. Had folks all upside down about it. But then I started noticing more people were starting to publish and put this in their writings. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, I don't mind being a groundbreaker because you got
Mm-hmm.
to break the ground before you plant the seeds, you understand? So here we have Ejiagbe. And as I meditated on it, day one of Tawede, certain insights would come. All right. Scroll up a little bit to 20,
Just a moment.
yeah, 25. There you go. Let's see if we can find something. All right. All right. There is a necessity to having philosophy, hence philosophers in Ifa and Isheshe. In truth, you want to continue or you want me to go ahead?
You
I
can
like
go.
your voice. No, I like your voice. You go ahead and start.
Okay, where were you at? Because I was I'm
So
trying to
start,
manage the screens here.
start it there.
Where you at? Where you?
There's a necessity, and having is blue.
Okay, let me make sure I remove this blue out. It'd be annoying me sometimes. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a necessity to having philosophy,
Mhm.
hence philosophers in Ifa Sheshe. In truth, there's nothing new about this.
Mhm.
Research and meditations reveal that such was established eons ago by sacerdotal orders and deep thinkers in Ile Ife, Benin and Oyo, and Edo empires, and across the continent dating back to Kush and Kemite. We're missing the content and the continuity
Continuity. Continuity.
of such due to invasions and enslavement, both having not only a physical impact but also a lack of transparency of knowledge. Displacement has led to not only our beliefs being altered, demonized, discredited, and destroyed to varying degrees, but the same has happened regarding our philosophical prowess.
Mhm.
Rarely do we hear the word philosophy in Ifai Sheshe in light of the fact that Orumila was a philosopher in our spiritual home. Ile Ife, Nigeria, and through the the fact what Ile Ife in Nigeria,
Mhm.
and through elevated to prophet like status, he, unlike prophets currently epitomize, demonstrate no evidence that only through him can we be saved and welcomed into heaven, Arun Ure. By God, Olodumare, the misconception of being mindless followers and adherents to a sky deity is rampant as a result of syncretism in
Mhm.
today's world of post enslavement and colonialism. Who can honestly argue this?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we go to the elays, right? And it's all about everything except thinking. It's all about being told and not being taught. It's all about the Orisha and what's your sign and who's your Orisha, but not how are you perceiving life? How are
Yeah.
you, you know, putting on the garment of adulthood
Mm-hmm.
so that you can contribute as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
and not come in at 40, 50 years old with a childlike state of mind and no concept of the philosophical, as if we weren't intelligent enough to even have that.
Mm-hmm.
Back to that whole, well, y'all wasn't nothing before, the missionaries came, and y'all didn't have no history before the Europeans came. That whole oppressor,
Yeah.
you know, oppressive hammer that keeps crushing us to the ground, shattering us into like a thousand pieces. And I'm like, we need to put these pieces back together. Yes, we did have philosophers,
Mm-hmm.
Rumula being the epitome of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he wants us to think. And again, people study the Odu and they still want to send you through a church like belief, you know. But Arumila never stated, that you got to believe in me
Mm-hmm.
in order to be embraced and graced by God. However,
Mm-hmm.
find the term. Arumila is like, learn your nature. Learn the wisdom of the ancestors. Just don't do stuff. Understand why you're doing it,
Yeah.
and build yourself from that self knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Why? You put again 100 Ifa Isheshe people in a room and ask them something about African civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
They look at you like, what that got to do with who on my head and who on my feet? You know, you know what I mean? And when you go to like Nigeria, and it's like, okay, head, feet, they look at you like, what you talking about? You know what I mean? That's
Or
foreign
like, gotcha.
anti-Semitism. You understand what I'm saying? So we believe in what other people believe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at the detriment of our ancestors. But we ready to shout, my ancestors. But at the same time, you don't hear them. They're whispers in the wind, and we're not paying any attention because, like children, we're distracted by any and every little thing, a bright color,
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful pot. Oh, I like that. Oh, I want to have that. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
got some people mad at other people because they got more pots than they got. I'm like, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
really, really. But see, because you are continually called a child, you continually behave like one.
Mm-hmm.
It's expected. And I'm here to say, in this metaphysical elay, in this school of thought, that does not exist. It
Mm-hmm.
just does not exist. And it won't exist after I'm gone and while I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way we are going to see each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And those who are affiliated, you have your godmother. They call you. If that works for you, that works for you. But you're a satellite. You're not in this.
Mm-hmm.
The closer you are to me, the more straight up it is. But I
Mm-hmm.
accept the fact that people have different ways, and I'm not here to condemn it. It's not an either or. It's an and in my world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I'm going to try to get you to understand why I don't do it. you know, and that may have impact on you and it may not. Okay. But again, I digress, forgive me. But see, rarely do we even hear the word philosophy in Ifani Sheshe. Rarely do we hear the word meditation. Rarely do we hear the word compassion for others. Rarely do we hear Ifa Aya, the, the, the divine essence of our hearts that tells us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be into Dafa long enough to open that heart chakra up. It's called Ifa Aya. I mention it in several of my books and in the latest one.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't sit and shake my finger talking about, well, nobody's talking about it, and I'm quiet, it's like, okay, I'm going to write it down, I'm going to put it out there. And
Yeah.
people who get with it now, they get with it. And people who don't, they don't. People who
Mm-hmm.
come to understand it later, fine. You know, people who don't, they don't. But it needs to be a part of the picture because without it, the picture is incomplete, and that should not be, um, a matter of argument or conflict between myself, ourselves, and anybody else. This is plain as day. I've been in and out of houses for years before I started my own. And there was just no, you very even rarely heard Oludumare,
Yeah.
you know? Hmm. We got to change. If we're gonna make this into what it really truly is, we have work to do.
And that is what bone is about.
Hmm.
And that is what bond is about.
Yes, that's what our bond is about.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a tough pill, as they say, to swallow. It says, but it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that it's important to basically frame or live Ifa more so as a philosophical way rather than ritual.
Oh,
And
definitely, definitely.
yeah.
Because other than that, we start moving towards weaponizing Ifa and Isheshe.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma told your grandma she gonna set her soul on fire. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And we get caught in this back and forth. Or you stole my godchildren, and I'm God, my God. Everything becomes so mundane that it becomes destructive.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's Ifani Sheshe, that's not what saves us from the destructiveness of
Mm-hmm.
self and others. Okay?
Yeah, true.
It's
And
our
so,
understanding that it's a saving grace. It's a it's a support system that assists us
mm-hmm.
in becoming divine. Ejave states, as a Rumula has written, that every person is an Orisha,
Mm-hmm.
unrealized.
What would you say are the risks of relying on Ifa as a ritual without understanding, without the understanding and the philosophy that you just broke down?
Well, it's the same as everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Say a daughter comes home, you know, I want to be married. I want to get married. you know. I'm in
Mhm.
love, you know. I mean, I'm ready to get married, and family members looking at child. You just 18 years old. You know what I mean? You just 19. You don't even understand what marriage is, you know. But you want that. That's what you want. You like the feel of it. You know. You like the fascination. You know. You even want a big, expensive, you know, wedding party, and you want all of that,
Mhm.
but you still have no idea of what being married is like. You may have seen it, but you don't know it. You haven't experienced
Mhm.
anything, and you want to run off and get married to this boy, and he ain't even got a job. You understand what I'm saying? So all of that, but again, childlike,
Yeah.
fascinated, everything is attract, even, oh, these feelings that I have, I've never felt like this before, you know what I mean? Da, 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 da. And we start spinning.
Mhm.
And I use that analogy to say that the same thing happens in religion. The same thing happens in Ifa and Isheshe. Oh, we made an ebo. Oh, we're spraying rum. Oh, we're doing this and we're doing that with no understanding of the ramifications, and actually what we're doing to hinder our growth.
Mhm.
So that to me would be the greatest of tragedies, that to keep ritualizing without researching, without remembering the greatness of us as a people,
Mhm.
so that we don't get stuck with, oh, well, this is us, this is what we did.
Mhm.
But not all of us did it.
Mhm.
Even back then, you think everybody was running back to get divination every time some little thing happened?
Mhm.
4 or 5 times a month. You understand what I'm saying? Uh, you know, just
I know
giving
some.
up.
I know
Uh,
some. I know somebody.
oh, a lot of bodies. But if that's what it takes, but my whole thing is, at a certain point, even the diviner, mm, a- as suggested, say, look, it's not about you depending on me.
Mhm.
It's about me helping you to strengthen and depend on you.
Yeah.
That's my premise. That's where I'm coming from. Now, if you don't feel as though you're able, and I'm helping you, then I might have to let you go.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
might have to let you go because I can't be a part of that process. I'll
Mhm.
stay with you as long as I can. Even the Orisha will stay with you as long as they can.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
But
just about to ask you. I was just going to ask you, how do you honor your elders or honor your Oluo or Lori, without I guess, surrendering your own Ori. At that point, like, how do you honor them? What if you have to tell them it's not working, or I think that there's more to.
but that's not being dishonorable. That's being a grown up. You understand? That's not being. You know how many people I had to walk away from who felt as though they had some kind of power over me? What? No. Nah, I'm 73 years old. I ain't missed a day for all that you was doing against me.
Yeah, it's very embarrassing. You should not put my name on your altar. It's not working out.
Or burn my name, or burn whatever you're gonna do. Go on and do it. Have a good time.
Have a good
Okay.
time.
But at a certain point, we become the fear factor that we fear.
Yeah.
So you can be honorable as an adult and share with somebody at your job that I'm no longer, working here. I turned in my letter of resignation last week,
Yeah.
after 10 years. It's like, it's good. Oh, well, what they're going to think. Well, no, that ain't got nothing to do with my decision.
I asked you that. I said, "Well, did you think about your?"
Oh, right, right. But what about this? And what about that? Well, and I'm like, but what about me?
Mhm.
Because I could have a heart attack right up there in that college, and they'll just put me on a stretcher and wheel my dead behind right on out of there.
And post pictures of you.
And maybe not, maybe not. But they will have somebody at that job within 7 days. You can believe that. So
Yeah.
my whole thing is you don't have to. That's not dishonoring. You know, that's taking accountability for your growth and what you need to do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And any elder who is your mentor or whatever, like you come to me at any given day and say, well, Lawyer, it's been real. You know what I mean? We've had a nice time. We got some work done, but I met somebody else and I'm going. Okay. And I would say, can I help you pack? You know, do you need me to open the door? And please be well.
That's how you know that you're confident, with yourself. You've made reason with yourself, l-
Mhm.
and you don't have to go back and forth. No elaborate
Right.
explanations or anything. No
Yeah.
celebratory exits or nothing like that. It's just
Right. Why? Why? When you're grown, you're raising your own children. And
yeah,
I'm trying to keep you, I want you to be the strongest adult that you can be. And even without the consistency that we've had, because I know I left an impression
yeah.
and I'm at peace with that. And I'm going to be at peace with you if that's what you want.
hmm it all comes around. Give it time. No matter what, it always comes around. Okay, so I have two questions, and this may be good for closing. And so, what do you hope readers take away from Ogbon, and how can future students approach Ifa as philosophers, not as adherents?
All
I
right.
mean,
So we're going to take one at a time, right?
of course.
All right. So what was the first one again?
What do you hope readers take away from Ogbon?
Okay.
Hmm.
So again, Ogbon means wisdom. And this is the first of four parts. So we have next week we're going to dive more into the Odu and how it was structured based on revelations that have come from this humble soul. You know,
Hmm.
so what I hope people take from reading Ugba is a greater sense of self development and growth
Hmm.
on this path while walking this path. Irin Ajo, by walking this inner path, you know, to more greatly, excuse me, fulfill themselves.
Hmm.
Okay, to fulfill themselves. Okay? Fulfilling the Orisha and being, oh, well, it's all about Orisha, and I got to fulfill them. I got to satisfy them. That's not what Ifani Sheshe is about. That's gentrification. You,
Hmm.
you understand that's almost like
Colonialism all over again.
yeah. It's just no. It's about we as adults,
Mm,
you know, becoming more adult-like. And if nobody else is helping us to realize that, we need to take a good look in the mirror and realize it ourselves.
mm,
And Ogbon gives us terms and words and insights to assist in that process. But the takeaway from reading it is not just to become more knowledgeable and not just to gain deeper understanding, knowledge, oye, understanding, but Ogbon to work earnestly at becoming wiser. And being wise doesn't mean being a pushover. Being wise doesn't mean always capitulating and giving in.
mm,
Being wise means to have a pragmatic approach, one that works in the assistance, in the assisting of achieving what you have set out to achieve. And if that achievement is your salvation, your saving grace, what saves you from being self destructive or
Mm-hmm.
destroyed by others,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then let Ogbon be the training ground for your introspection, your iwakiri, your spiritual journey. That would be my greatest hope. And that's why I wrote it.
That's shame. And so I'm always thinking about like the future, and I want to know how can future students approach Ifa as philosophers, not as adherents? I think you probably said it, but I just
No, no, no. It'd be good to say 1,000 times.
okay.
Okay, so it's all good. I'm trying not to say what I'm going to say anyway.
Now we keep it real over here.
Join the school of thought. Okay, because by this time next month or so, we're going to have a virtual online school of Ifa Isheshe pragmaticism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, that doesn't stop anyone from being an adherent, with the initiations and um, the, the, the otas, the pots, and the ilekes, and all of that. People, please try to understand that I'm not at war,
Mm-hmm.
or the only war I'm waging is the war for peace. And that is, yes, do what you do, but it come to a school of thought where you aren't being taken down any road,
Mm-hmm.
okay, except the road that you're walking, and the school will support that through open dialogue, through study. You see, and if you happen to want to branch off through the school for initiatories, then we have Ianifa here, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But schools are created for reasons. Schools of thought, schools of philosophical thought have been created by us 10,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing new. It's nothing new. So that would be one. Two is, of course, read up on it. You know, read my books. Okay, not because they're mine, but because the spirit that moved me so moved me.
Mm-hmm.
Read the spirit of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Read into it. Like I said, you can be going to all these bembeys and going through all this and all that, and still never hear the word philosophical. Still never hear, oh, you're an adult. What are your thoughts? How are you going to figure this out? And how can I, as your priest, how can I help you achieve?
Mm-hmm.
You need to achieve. I
Mm-hmm.
have beautiful people who work with me and I with them, who are now attending college, who
Yeah.
have moved distances in
Mm-hmm.
order to better their lives, who have changed the trajectory
Mm-hmm.
in spite of their emotional states and their conditioned states of minds. And this is without, you know, 20 divinations and $5,000 worth of ebos.
Yeah. Because you're gonna need the money anyway when you're going through school. You might need that whenever you enroll into school.
Exactly. You
And
just might need a new computer. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah.
you can do the work. The one you had is like 90 years old. And it's like, but see, I would be here to help you do that because I'm here to help you change the trajectory, not to further bury you.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some Catholic like belief system. Oh, well, the Lord will take care of everything. Well, tell that to the people who've been lynched. Tell that to the people who are kicked out of school. Tell that to the people who are incarcerated. Tell that to the women who have the highest rate of childbirth death. No, tell all those people
Mhm.
about how it's going to be taken care of. You know.
Mm.
So yeah, there's reasons why I come across a little straight. You know,
Mhm.
because if not, I would be crooked like so many others.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, wonderful. I'm glad that we have this conversation, and there's more to come. There's
Yes.
we got because with Ogbon we have three more chapters that we're going to cover, and we're inviting you guys to get the book so that you can follow along with us when you're joining the lives and being a part of the conversation. Also, we're going to be having School of Thought, and and like you said, there's going to be classes and mentorship. And we're here for all of that. We're here for all of it. So we want you to be a part of the conversation. And I also wanted to say that what we're talking about here is in no way trying to deter you from the beautiful journey of Ifa Isheshe, you know, or trying to replace tradition or whatnot, you know. Because just recently, like for instance, the New Year's came, and I saw so many posts about, oh, this isn't the New Year's. The New Year's start on April,
Yeah.
but most people know like on January 1st, their family's traditions have been to boil, you know,
Mm,
some black eyed peas, rice, greens, cornbread, and all that other stuff. Like, you know, this is your tradition.
mhm.
Whatever you do to empower you, whatever we can do to enhance you,
Yes.
and that is what we're here for. We're here for that, but we're also here to make sure you understand things from a pragmatic and philosophical way of understanding. So yeah, understanding goes very, very deep, deep enough for you to live it. Yeah.
Shay.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. You got any lasting words? Because you've said so much. But I know that they love. That's what they're here for. They're here to hear Oloye speak. So,
Yeah. Well, in closing, and I'll be very brief. You know, please accept the warmth. You know, that is also a part of my teachings. You know, I I do realize that we are conditioned to think one thing or the other. I I I do realize that we are conditioned to hurt one another. We are, you know, to see each other as unreal, you know, to see our ancestors as unreal. You know, it's like nothing could be further from the truth,
mm,
you know, and sometimes facing that truth brings about a tearing inside of us. We have to tear away from it, you know. Coming into this philosophical school, it's going to hurt. You know, it's going to hurt. You know,
mm,
not because anybody's trying to get you to do anything, but it's like finding out that that person you love the most was cheating on you. You understand what I'm saying? You know, nobody's trying to get you to change, but you feel that. It's like, baby girl, I know you're hurting. You know what I mean? You gave everything to this dude, you know? But it's the same way. It's like, yo, children of we're not children, we're beacons of light, you know. We are the rays of the sun, you know. And I'm in our woe, you know. And I could say, well, I'm a son of a Rumila, but I'll spell it Sun. You understand? So there's much to learn, but under under my guidance, I'm confident to coin Ian's words. You know, I'm confident uh, that we can see it through.
And we will.
We can see it through. And no demands.
Mhm.
No demands.
That's it.
No
As
pressure.
usual, a great conversation, great exchange, and exploration of ideas.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ia. Thank you, Oloye. Modukwe, Ifashe, Oku.
All right, my brother. Until next time,
Mhm. Thank you. Yes, we're going to see it through.
we're going to see it.
Well, I'll go ahead and close it here. And we will be back on Sunday again, 4 p. No, well, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, with the second part of Ogbon, which is Oyeku, right?
We'll see when we get there. Just show up. We got something for you.
Yes. Okay. We'll be there. What do you say? Any more else? Nobody else left a comment? All right. Well, I'll go ahead and end it here. Thank you all for joining. Till next time. Odabo.
Odabo, Odabo, Inje, Ifa Lakba.